So today we have the wonderful Mel Cutteridge here, who we are interviewing. Thank you for coming for an interview, Mel. It's lovely to see you. First of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself, if that's okay.
I'm Mel, and I'm married to Alistair, and we have 5 children, and we've lived in Manchester for virtually exactly 6 years now.
Wonderful. So we were saying this about the amount of time that me and Giles has been going out. Yeah. So 2 big events happened at the same time.
It was a very important time.
Yeah, it was. It was all going on in Manchester. So, and can you tell us how you came to know Jesus?
Yep. So I grew up in a Christian family. Mm-hmm. My mum took me, my brother and my sister to church. My dad didn't come to church. My dad got really sick when I was about 9 or 10. He was diagnosed with a brain tumour, and then he started coming to, which was really, really precious. And then my dad died when I was 14. Wow. And I carried on going to church for a little while. Probably by the time I was 16, I stopped going to church. I don't think I ever stopped. Well, I know I never stopped believing in God, but I just didn't see him as relevant in any way in my life. Apart from, I think if I was in trouble or I wanted something, I'd probably let out a prayer. Yeah. But apart from that, that was that. Yeah. And then probably for the next 5 years or so, sort of did sixth form, did uni, just made loads of probably really bad decisions when I look back at it.
Like we all do at that age, to be honest.
And I think for me, I was just looking for love in all the wrong places. And like my focus was totally about who my boyfriend could be, or looking back on it, it was a really, really messy time. And I think I got really hurt on a regular basis and probably hurt other people as well. And I think I know my mum was really, really worried about me and probably pulling her hair out. And I guess I empathise more now that my kids are older too. Well, then I went off to uni, and partway through my second year of uni, I had to come home because I wasn't very well. Which nowadays I don't know that uni would notice if someone wasn't necessarily very well, but it was different then. And so I came home from uni because they said you need to go home till you get better, and just had like a flu-y, virusy thing. But God was definitely in it because since I'd stopped going to church, my mum had remarried and they'd started going together to a different church. I think because they wanted to go somewhere together, where I think at their old church it would always have been Pauline and her new husband, whereas here it was just Pauline and Tim. Yeah. So when I started to feel better, I had nothing to do because all of my friends were still at uni and my friends from home were away. Yeah. So I decided I would go along with my mum because it gave me something to do. And it was just very, very different. I remember just going into church and chatting to the people there and just feeling like there was something different about this church. It may well have been just that my attitude was different and my heart was different, but I felt like these people really, really cared about me, and there was something that I wanted to know more about. So I asked if I could see the vicar. It was an Anglican church. Went to see him one night, asked him loads and loads of questions, which is hilarious really because I'd gone to church for years, but it felt like this was a different kind of faith. And I gave my life to the Lord. My mum was really, really lovely. Her and her 2 friends. I don't know do you remember prayer triplets? Were they before your time? Yeah, I thought so. It was people who in threes would sort of meet together and pray for each other. And so her and her 2 friends used to pray for me.
That's lovely.
And I never knew. So, of course, there was great celebration when that happened.
I bet, yeah.
Absolutely. And when I then said to my mum, I actually don't want to go back to uni, because I just knew that I was in a really vulnerable position and I had a boyfriend back at uni who I knew it wouldn't be helpful for me. And I guess I knew that if I went back with all the good intentions, that those good intentions wouldn't come to anything, because I knew that I would just slip back in to the life that I was living before. So
that's a really self-aware decision.
Yeah. So I never went back, and that was Easter time. And then I met Alistair in the August.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I'm sure this isn't true, but in my head, it's like God thought, this woman needs a man, a good Christian man, and if I don't give her a good Christian man, then she's just going to be running back.
Yeah.
And he was probably quite right at that point, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I feel like that, you know, God was in all of that, and that was the start of my journey. I would say I thought things from then were like, great, I'm a Christian, life's different, and then we got married, and then we had our family, and it's been amazing. But I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where I just slid into that without ever really addressing the stuff that had happened to me before that, and the decisions I'd made, and the attitudes I had, and the hurts that I had. So that all caught up with me over time. And I think, for me, I think it's just made me realise that you can't just sort of slip into faith without addressing the stuff from before as well. So I've had lots of lovely friends around me who've encouraged me and challenged me, and I've had counselling and talked to lots of amazing people to work through all that stuff.
Good.
And for me, that's quite an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I mean, for all of us, isn't it? Let's
Yeah,
face it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's part of my journey.
Brilliant. That's amazing. Thank you very much, Mel. Can you tell us a little bit about what is your front line and how do you serve God at that place?
Okay, so I work at a primary school in Sale, which I absolutely love. I really, really, really love my job.
Good.
I'm a teaching assistant and I work in Year 5. And I feel like it's definitely where God wants me to be. I feel like I have the best job in the world. And so I get to do some teaching, but I get to do one-to-one stuff with the kids and group work with the kids. And the real privilege of it is for me that I can take time with individual children. And I think where, I don't know, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I don't know, some of it is just how I am, but I think as well, I really, really, really want to encourage the children to see the positivity that there is, to see the gifts and the talents that they have. And because of the role I'm in, I can do that. And obviously, not all the children are going to sail through school emotionally or in their exams. There's going to be challenges, aren't there? And I guess what I'm able to do is just spot the things that I can encourage them in, to see the gifts and the talents that might not necessarily be getting all their spellings right or being able to do their maths. I can say, oh, I've just been watching you and you are such a good friend, or, you know, oh, that was really, really kind of you, or actually, I just saw you draw that. Why don't you show me and do something else? And so I think my job is absolutely amazing. And I think I just really, really like to encourage them, and I like being with the other staff, and I'd like to think, I know that I don't do it all the time, but I'd like to think that I can make a difference to the atmosphere by being there. And I think I haven't thought about that as much until I had a couple of days off work a few weeks ago, and I had my COVID booster and I wasn't very well for a couple of days. And when I was away, one of the ladies who works up the same corridor as me, further up, we're not actually in the same classroom, but we say hello to each other as we walk backwards and forwards. And she messaged me just to say, hi, here you're off, how are you doing? And when I went back, I was like, oh, thank you, that was so kind of you. And she said, I just thought, you know, it was a day after a day or so, I thought there's something different up here. And then I thought, oh, Mel isn't here, I wonder where she is. And she went and asked where I was, and she said it just didn't feel the same when you weren't here. And I just thought, well, that's God, isn't it, really? If I can spread a bit of, you know, a bit of hope and a bit of positivity and spread God's love and God's heart.
Absolutely. If people feel your absence, then you're obviously doing something right, aren't you?
Well, it really, really, really encouraged me. Really, really did.
You are such an encourager, Mel. I think that's definitely one of your gifts, and I would love to think that my child was in a class with someone like you there to encourage him. So that's really amazing.
Those are always my highlights. You know, just being able to chat to a child or encourage a child, or, you know, just notice they're not okay. So I feel like I've got a great job. I love it.
That's a real gift. Oh, thank you. That's wonderful.